I've got the plea petition. And Josh, are you gonna spin the camera to your guy there?
Here you go, Your Honor.
All right, and we'll get going. Let's be on the record in case number 2020 CR 283, caption State of Kansas versus John Dunn. Would the parties announce their appearances, please?
May it please the court, Candace Alvarez appears on behalf of the state.
May it please court, Your Honor, Josh Allen on behalf of Mr. Dunn. We both appear together on the Zoom platform.
All right. We are here set down for a plea hearing. Before coming on the record, I received a copy of the plea petition and reviewed the same. Mr. Dunn, here's what we're going to have to do today. To take up this plea, I'm going to have to ask you a bunch of questions, okay? If you don't understand something that I ask you, tell me that, and let's talk about it so we make sure we're on the same page, okay?
All right.
All right. If at any time I ask you a question, you want to talk to Mr. Allen before you answer that question, you just tell me that. He'll mute the microphone there. You two can have a conversation and come back when you're ready, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now to start this, I'm going to have you sworn in. So if you'd raise your right hand, my court reporter will swear you in.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
All right. Mr. Dunn, how far did you go in school?
14.
All right. You read and write okay, I take it?
Yes, sir.
All right. As you sit here today, are you under the influence of any alcohol or drugs or prescription medicine that might cloud your mind, keep you from understanding what we're doing?
No.
All right. You feel like your mind's clear today?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you know what you're charged with?
Yes.
All right. You know you don't have to change your plea from not guilty to guilty. If you wanted to maintain your not guilty plea, you would have an absolute right to a jury trial in this case. You know that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now at that trial, Mr. Allen would be able to help you. The state would have to put on enough evidence to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You wouldn't have to prove anything yourself. Mr. Allen would cross-examine all the state's witnesses. He could challenge all their evidence. If you wanted witnesses called, he could call them. And if they didn't want to come to court, he could use subpoena power to make them come to court. Do you understand all that?
Yes, sir.
At that trial, you would have a right to testify, but you'd also have a right not to testify. And if you decided not to testify, the state couldn't use that against you. In other words, Ms. Alvarez here couldn't get up and argue, well, Mr. Dunn must be guilty because he didn't tell you his side of the story. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
If we went through that whole trial, at the end of that trial, you were found guilty, you would be able to appeal that conviction to the appellate courts. If you didn't have the money to do that, a lawyer would be appointed to do it for you. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. If we go forward with this plea today, there's not going to be any kind of trial like that at all. And you're going to be giving up all those rights I just went over with you. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. Now I'm going to share with you here a copy of this plea petition. Can you see that document?
Yes.
Does that look like the plea petition that you and Mr. Allen went over?
Yes.
You feel like you understand everything in it?
Yes.
All right. There's a recitation of what the plea agreement is. I'm going to read that to you. It says you're going to plead guilty to count 1, which is possession of methamphetamine. The other counts are going to be dismissed. Both parties agree to recommend probation at the time of sentencing. Is that your understanding of the entire plea agreement?
Yes.
Anybody promised you anything else to get you to plead guilty today?
No.
Anyone place any force or threats against you to make you plead guilty today?
No.
Okay. Now, it talks in here about recommendations. Basically, they're going to recommend probation at the time of sentencing. You understand that while I listen closely to everybody's recommendations, that I'm not bound by them and I can give you any sentence that the law allows me to. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do we have an understanding, Mr. Allen, Ms. Alvarez, what Mr. Dunn's criminal history is?
Judge, I have him as an E, as an Edward.
All
I
right.
agree. I agree with that, Your Honor.
Okay. So the lawyers And I'm sure Mr. Allen's showed you that sentencing grid, and talked about where he thinks you're gonna fall on that. And you understand that's based on his understanding of your criminal history, based on your conversations and his look through the DA's file. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Now, what I have to do today, because until I get a pre-sentence investigation, I don't know what your criminal history is. So what I have to do for today's hearing is assume you have the very worst criminal history, so I can advise you the maximum that anybody can get for this crime. You understand that?
Yes,
So the maximum for this crime, if you had the very worst criminal history, would be 42 months in prison and a fine of $100,000, would also carry 12 months of post-release supervision duration. Do you understand that that's the maximum sentence in this case?
yes, I do.
All right. Mr. Dunn, do you have any questions for either me or Mr. Allen about anything we've talked about so far today?
No,
All right. Mr. Allen, do you know any reason why your client should not plead guilty today?
No, sir, Your Honor.
All right. Then, Mr. Dunn, I'm going to ask you to count one, that possession of methamphetamine, which is a severity level 5 non-person drug felony. How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
guilty.
All right. Now I'm going to ask Ms. Alcaraz to tell me what she thinks the evidence would be if this case went to trial. I want you to listen closely, because when she's done, I'm going to ask you if that's what happened. Okay,
Okay,
Ms. Alcaraz.
Yes, Judge. State's evidence would be that on March 7th, 2020, the defendant was driving a vehicle and came to an abrupt stop in the middle of the road near 36th Street and Nebraska Avenue, Kansas City, Kansas, Wyandotte County. He exited his vehicle and approached an officer's vehicle. He said he didn't do anything. At that point, he gave the officers his name, and his name was Rand. It came back that he had 3 warrants out of KCK. Also, there was an open container in the vehicle that he was driving. So the officers got the occupants of the vehicle out and then searched the vehicle. And there was a bag of crystallized substance in the driver's side visor. That crystallized substance was tested and it came back presumptive positive for meth.
All right. Mr. Dunn, is that what happened?
yes, sir.
All right, thank you. I will find the defendant has freely, voluntarily, and intelligently entered into this plea. He knows the nature of the charges and the consequences of the plea. The state has provided a sufficient factual basis for finding of guilt, and I will specifically find that Mr. Dunn is guilty of count 1, possession of methamphetamine, a severity level 5 drug felony. I'm going to order a pre-sentence investigation be conducted and continue this sentencing pending that receipt. Mr. Allen, it looks like I have available December 4th at 9 a.m. by Zoom. Are you available then?
Judge, the only thing I have that day is at 9. I can do 10. I can do anytime after 10.
I've got a 10 scheduled. How about 11?
Perfect. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Alcaraz, same person.
Judge, I've got a motions hearing that morning for a murder case. And so I'm not sure if it'll be done by 11. I can hope for the best, but I don't think we'll be able to start at 10 o'clock.
Let's go ahead and put that in there. Do you think somebody could cover this sentencing for you if need
Yeah,
be?
I can find coverage if necessary.
All right. All right. We're going to set sentencing for December 4th at 11 a.m. By Zoom. Mr. Dunn, I've got your PSI request here. It's got your contact information in it. I'm going to send it over to probation, and somebody from that office is going to get in touch with you to set up your interview, okay?
All right,
All right. As a convicted felon, it's prohibited for you to own or possess a firearm, certain kind of deadly cutting instruments like dirks, daggers, switchblades, basically knives that could be considered weapons. If you have any questions about that, I'm sure Mr. Allen can answer them. All right. Other things for our record today.
Not from the state, Judge.
No, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Monica, thanks for all your help today.
Problem.
We're adjourned.